Rajasthan and Hyderabad square off in match number 40 of the Indian T20 League, and what pretty much is a must-win for both sides if they are to keep the hopes of qualifying for the playoffs of the Indian T20 League alive. You're watching Cricket Pundits in the company of your favorite pundits, Mandira, Lalvani, and Ayaz, Memon. Mandira, Ayaz, warm welcome as always.
Thank you very much.
Ayaz, a do-or-die encounter for both teams. Fair assessment, you think?
Yes, I mean, look, mathematically there might be a chance still remaining, but that's, practically the team which loses is more or less out. Then they can end up becoming or playing spoiler, but trying to reach the last ball of the playoffs will be extremely difficult. So it's a very important game for both teams. And, especially I think for Rajasthan, not because that I don't like Hyderabad, it's just that Rajasthan have shown a glimmer, they've shown a spark in their previous match. And they've kind of found a way. It may be a very small, narrow path, but they look now that they could go the distance, much like Punjab have been doing. They got a foot in the door and then they've started becoming stronger. They've beaten two of the biggest teams. So, can Rajasthan emulate Punjab in that sense? We'll have to wait and see. Hyderabad, I think, they started poorly, losing the first couple of matches. Then they, the trajectory was all up. They started winning. And then the last three matches they've lost. And when this kind of a slump in the middle of the tournament, it becomes very difficult to kind of redeem yourself from there because you just surrendered too many points. And, they've also got some issues. Kane Williamson, I don't know if he'll play. Previous match he was hobbling. So he brings stability apart from a lot of elegance and style. And the big things that have been happening are their trump cards. What was the trump card? The opening partnership between Warner and Bairstow. Like Rahul and Agarwal, and amongst the best in the business. And now, in the last few matches, one or the other is clicking, not the partnership. And that is telling on this batting lineup, which is otherwise weak. After Williamson, they start struggling a bit. Every time you can't expect Priyam Garg and Abhishek Sharma to bail you out and give you those runs. So that's one part. The other is, much as we've extolled the virtues of Rashid Khan, he's not picked up wickets. He's picking up the stray wicket rather than two or three. So what's happening clearly is that opposing teams, the batsmen from the opposing teams are prepared to play out his 4 overs. Okay, we'll score 28, 27, 30 runs, but we will not give him wickets. And then we'll exploit the others because there's no Bhuvneshwar. And some of the other bowlers are, quite raw, inexperienced. And that's telling on Hyderabad's performance. That's why they lost 3 matches. So, it's in a sense, it shows you where the team is heading. But, new day, new match, and who knows what can happen today. So if you want me to pick my 3 players from my team, I'll do it right away. Yes. From Hyderabad, Warner, Bairstow and Rashid. These 3 are crucial. And from Rajasthan, Butler, Archer, of course, because he's been the outstanding fast bowler consistently throughout the tournament. And then Rahul Tewatia, who's become, so talismanic for the team. He also bowled well in the previous match. So a spinning track with Rahul Tewatia and Shreyas Gopal could really beef up Rajasthan's prospects. So those are my 3, Butler, Archer and Tewatia from Rajasthan.
Great. Mandira, your thoughts going into this one?
Sure. So I'm going to just take off from where Ayaz is left off. Let's talk first about the glimmer, the spark we've seen in the, brand new, spanking new looking Rajasthan side. Initially, if you recall, we've always been discussing how the overseas players, barring Jofra Archer, has not delivered. But now we are starting to see that how with Josh Butler, of course, is fantastic, so versatile. He can bat right down to finish the innings. And with his performance, we've seen Steve Smith have more confidence in his batting as well. Not that he needs it. If you just zoom out and look at him as the player of the repute that he is and of his experience and all of that. But now with Butler firing, we're seeing a more fire in his belly kind of Steve Smith, which has been very, very instrumental for Rajasthan. Jofra Archer is firing, which is great. Still to see Ben Stokes go and hit that wham bam. But by and large, I think Rajasthan, the glimmer has come from the overseas players. Finally, Steve Smith even went so far as to acknowledge the fact that Jofra Archer has been absolutely brilliant. And we haven't seen them very generous with his praise for his bowlers in the recent times. Rahul Tewatia, Shreyas Gopal, that combination, that leg spin combination just decimated Dhoni and Jadeja in their previous match. And that was a very clever use of tactics against a very disillusioned side as it is. And it'll be interesting to see whether they continue in the same vein with a side like Hyderabad, which is also struggling. Now, going back to Hyderabad, so if the opening pair doesn't fire, like we were discussing, David Warner and Johnny Bairstow, so much was made of them, so much was expected of them, but they haven't quite delivered to the expectations of them. So if the opening pair doesn't fire, there's too much pressure on the middle order, which doesn't necessarily deliver, or maybe is not capable of delivering, especially under pressure situations. And look, they've only had 3 wins so far. It may be, even if they win, I think it may be too little too late. And as Ayaz said, mathematically, perhaps, yes, they have a chance. But if you just look at it practically, maybe not. And even, don't forget, like so many close losses. The last match was against Kolkata and they lost in the super over. It could have really gone either way, right? It's bound to get the morale down as well. And for them then to keep on, regrouping and re-enthusing, so to speak, and go into another match. But they're all experienced players. This is a game of cricket. It's a new day, new match. Who knows what can happen? This is 2020 cricket. So that's pretty much it for the analysis. The players to look out for, as far as Hyderabad is concerned, Kane Williamson. I'm curious to see how he's feeling, where he's going to bat in the order. The opening pair of Warner and Bairstow for sure. I totally agree with what Ayaz has said. And Rashid Khan, let's hope he's in the wickets now. Like Ayaz said, the opposition plays him out very, very effectively by just not going crazy in scoring or whatever and saying, let's just play out those 4 overs, because they know he's pretty much the sole warrior of any sort of effect in the Hyderabad bowling attack. As far as Rajasthan is concerned, definitely Jofra Archer. He's just been fantastic. Rahul Tewatia, for reasons that have already been explained, I won't repeat myself. And Steve Smith. Yes, Joss Butler is the obvious choice, but I want to continue to focus on Steve Smith, and let's see if he can play another captain's knock.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mandira. Ayaz, Rajasthan, you reckon slight favourites going into this one, given the fact that they've been slightly rekindled? So what can Hyderabad do to perhaps sway the match in their favour?
Well, I think they need to get a good start. That's so. It's actually been so integral to Hyderabad's success over the past few seasons. Whatever success we had, it's Johnny Bairstow and David Warner clicking big time, and Rashid Khan taking wickets. If that doesn't happen, the team starts struggling, because they have actually packed their team with a lot of young Indian players. So they also depend a lot on overseas stars, much like Rajasthan do and Punjab do.
And your pick for this one, Ayaz?
Well, it has to be Rajasthan, because they've just done very well in the last game. And despite having no big contribution from Ben Stokes. Now, imagine a match where Ben Stokes comes into his own as an all-rounder. Maybe this match, then it leaves the opposition no chance. But if Smith and Butler and Jofra Archer click, obviously there are issues about Samson, who's just kind of slipped very badly in his run-making. But then there's Rahul Tewatia, there's Shreyas Gopal. So, out of a team of 11 on the field, if 7-8 are doing well, that team is going to succeed.
Thank you. And Mandira, Rajasthan favourites for you as well?
Well, Rajasthan on paper and by everything we've discussed, yes, for sure. But anyway, just to take a little bit of takkar, let me go Hyderabad. Because again, look, they're in dire straits, and we've seen Punjab pull themselves out of such dire straits as well. And if they click, look, it's a fantastic lineup. So why not? Let's give them a bit of a chance in this and say maybe Hyderabad can pull a rabbit out of its hat for this one.
Brilliant. As Ayaz and Mandira summed up, the stakes are definitely sky high for both Rajasthan and Hyderabad going into this encounter. Thank you so much to Mandira as well as Ayaz for giving us company on another episode of Cricket Pundits. And we look forward to your company on the next episode as well. Until next time, take care.